Say hey everyone, welcome into another edition of Say Hey Plays. My name is Jose Bouquett. Over there is Ian Cameron. Good day for us, Ian Cameron. Last time out, I do remember, I think it was at least. A good day for me yesterday, and I'm excited to talk this full slate of baseball with you. As always, a full slate too, and cannot waste a moment here, Bobano, because of course, in classic fashion, I was wearing a white shirt today, Bobano. Stain my white shirt, of course, classic. So now
That's always when you make the biggest mess, when you're wearing white.
of course, it's classic. Yeah. Classic. It's every time.
I can't buy a spaghetti stain or a pasta stain or some kind of a sauce stain of any kind when I'm wearing black or dark clothing. But when I'm wearing white or light clothing, guaranteed I'm going to make a mess.
Yep. Every time. So now I'm in a hoodie.
Glad it's not just me. Yeah.
And I'm in a hot place. So we might be moving through this program a little bit because I'm going to be sweating up a storm here, Bobano. But I do want to ask you first because we've had two big baseball news items breaking. We already knew that DeGrom would not pitch forever, torn Tommy John, et cetera, et cetera. We got that. But the bigger, more shocking news, and as a Blue Jays guy and as a Canadian, Bobano, how do you feel about Alec Manoa getting sent down?
It had to happen. I don't know about sent down to where he got sent down. In Florida Complex League that's a pretty harsh demotion. That is really
they sent him all the way down.
All the way down. That's to the bottom of the barrel, essentially. That's just not a little piddly demotion to the AAA. I mean, that is just down to get your head right. And to me, that means it's a mental thing. Every bit as much as it's more probably mental for Alec Manoa than mechanics, and that he's just all of a sudden gotten figured out, or he just forgot how to sequence his pitches. I don't think it's got anything to do with that. I think it's all mental. When you lose your confidence, it's hard to get it back. And you try to do things outside of your comfort zone. You try to do things in terms of pitching where that's not exactly the way I'm built to pitch. That's not exactly the way I'm built for success. And yet I'm trying it anyway because I'm running out of options. I can't figure out what's happening to me. I think that's played a big part in his struggles. But he could not make another start for the Blue Jays this weekend. It couldn't happen after last night. That was it. That was like his last chance to show that he could stay up here with the Blue Jays rotation. Can't happen now. He needs to go down there, figure himself out mentally, work on his work on getting back on track, and then come back and get that confidence back. And and then look, this has been a horrible season for him, no question. But I think people saying, well, he's done. He was a fluke last year. I think we need to hold off on that kind of rhetoric and that kind of talk right now. This was a dominant pitcher last year. He is very capable of finding it again, but it's going to take soul searching. It's going to take hard work. It's going to take being honest with yourself that I have things I need to work on. And it's not just pitching. I still think he could lose more weight, and it's just the way it is. That's the way I feel about it. And look, unfortunately, last night they lose in large part because, no pun intended, but in large part because, he was definitely just abysmal, in that first day. So it had to happen, Jose. It was time. And this is the move that has to be made, and you got to try to get him right.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all the rotation machinations settle out now. Obviously, Gausman and Kikuchi are going to be relied upon heavily. Shout out to DG there. But it's going to be a fun time talking about the Blue Jays and watching how all of that develops. Let's get into this card, Bobano.
And then Jake DeGrom quickly. I mean, what else can you say at this point?
I mean, we knew that was happening.
It's terrible. It's not even shocking anymore, but what it is very sad because we are seeing a guy's potential Hall of Fame career, basically the last 2-3 years fall apart right before our eyes. And it's unfortunate. It's terrible.
Yeah. And I'm glad that at least he's getting it done now. Like just get it over with, get it clipped, rehab, and then we'll see where we go from there. But yeah, that was the most, we all kind of figured that was going to happen too, but it is a sad news. Nonetheless, let's get into it, Bobano. Tigers, Phillies here, and we're coming off of a 5-0, 6-0 day yesterday, which was nice. And to keep the days rolling. Thank you.
That was a good one for me, too, yeah. Cincy was good. We had lots of good sides. Houston, obviously. We had to fade Manoa. It was a good night. Yep.
Yeah, I was on both those sides. Cincy first 5, Houston full game. That was nice. Whenever you can immediately jump out to a 6-0 lead, that always makes the tummy feel warm. But Tigers, Phillies here. A game that I typically would pass most times here. But again, I am now a subscriber to the Action Plus now, or whatever it's called, so I can see all the money and market movements, which is very nice and helpful. And this is one that immediately stuck out to me, Bobano. I've decided that I'm going to, fade most of the market or most of those spots where it's like 95, 99, a high 90% of money on one side. An example of that actually being successful was yesterday, Cardinals Rangers. 99% of the money on the over, and why wouldn't it be? Both teams smashing the other side, et cetera, et cetera. We bet the under, didn't sweat a second. So I'm gonna hopefully keep doing that. We're 3-1 so far doing that, and this is a spot. 64% of bets, 93% of the money on the under here. I'm on the over 9 minus 113. Bobano tweeted out these plays before. Taijuan Walker, fine. He's just a fine pitcher, overall better at home. We know that. The worry, obviously, Tigers against righties, just anemic, not good at all. And the lefties against the Phillies have not been good overall this year, but the last 2 weeks, 121 weighted runs created plus, 12th best, maybe finding themselves a little bit. So I'm on the over 9 here.
Yeah, I lean that way too. I'm not a Taijuan Walker fan, although he's had these games where just out of nowhere he pitches a gem and it befuddles me. But I'm not enamored. When I watch him pitch, I don't look at it and say, wow, that's a great pitcher. I think he's got to get by with deception. He's not obviously throwing nearly as hard as he once did. A little older now. He's had a lot of injuries as well in recent years. And just, he's not someone I'm definitely ready to lay minus 180 with. No chance. That being said, if there's one team that maybe makes them look good, it's Detroit. I mean, Detroit can be very, very shaky to trust offensively at times. That being said, last night they did get a little offense. Problem was their pitching was brutal. I'm still wondering how Joey Wentz shut down Texas in that one game because I faded him again and again and again. He finally pitched well, and I said, well, I'm not going to buy into it yet. And I came right back against him last night. I had Phillies team total over last night, and he got bombed. So he back to the old Joey Wentz. Philly should have success against Tyler Alexander. I definitely think you'll see runs on the Philly side. You should see some runs on the Detroit side because I don't fully trust Walker. That's the only hesitation. I was going back and forth, Phillies over or full game over because I like Philly's team total over again in this game a little bit too. But I ended up going with the full game over, putting my faith in Tigers being able to do a little something against Walker.
Yep, I'm on the over there too. So I'm glad that you're on the right or on my side. I'm not going to say the right side, but the side I'm on, which is nice. Let's move on. Minnesota Twins, Tampa Bay Rays here. An interesting one because obviously these are both first place ball clubs. Who knows how seeding will knock out or fare out? Maybe these two teams will face each other in the playoffs, et cetera, et cetera. It's interesting. And typically want to back Zach Eflin at home. But I don't want to back him at minus 175. Rays offense against righties last 2 weeks, 97 weighted runs created plus. I think that's the lowest I've seen a Rays offense for a 2-week stretch all year. So they're obviously the offense is plateauing a little bit, cooling off maybe since just having the best start of their collective careers, it seems. And Louis Varland, I actually like Louis Varland. I trust Louis Varland, and I think he's been a quality pitcher every time out. He went 7 innings, no earned runs, 4 hits against the Houston Astros at the Astros last time out. I know the Astros haven't been like the most hard-hitting squad this year, but last 2 weeks they've been solid. So I respect Louis Varland enough to pass this game.
Yeah, I lean under the total in this game, and we're already seeing that this total's gone down from 7.5 now. As far as this total is concerned. And I do think both pitchers could have a good start here. In fact, I like the strikeout props for both of these guys in this game tonight. I was impressed with Louis Varland against Houston in his last start. I thought he was really good against a pretty solid lineup when, and we saw what the Astros did last night. I mean, that's a very good lineup. And for Louis Varland to basically roll through that lineup and most importantly, get through the second and the third time through that order and still be able to pitch well and keep them off the scoreboard is very impressive. So, Tampa Bay to me is a little bit cooled down a little bit offense, especially on the road. They have not been nearly as good at scoring runs lately. They are back home and they have hit the ball extremely well at Tropicana all year. There's no question, but I do like the strikeout props for both of these guys and I lean under. I haven't bet the side. It's just a little too pricey for me with Tampa, but I lean under. And like I said, I think both of these guys can get swings and misses against the opposing lineup tonight. So Louis Varland over 4.5 strikeouts. I got that around minus 150. It's 5.5 at a plus price if you prefer a better priced with that at the 5.5. And I also like a Zach Eflin strikeout prop here tonight as well in this game, over 5.5 minus 120.
Beautiful work there. Shout out to Rocco Rogers over in the 5.5 as well. Don Play will talk about the Orioles here soon, but I definitely lean that way. Let's go into our next game. Oh, and by the way, the money in the market here real quick before we move on. 28% of the tickets on the Twins and only 17% of the money on them. 72% and 83% of the money on the Tampa Bay Rays there. So honestly, I lean Twins, but I just don't want to make any action on this game. So let's move on. Royals Marlins here. An interesting matchup because admittedly this game it does scream out under to me. 50-50 on the tickets and 57% of the money on the under. So a little bit more of the bets there. 77% of the bets and 60% of the money on the Miami Marlins. So someone's betting the Royals. 23% and 40% of the money is pretty high, to say the least. Zach Greinke's been fine this year. Pretty good on the road. 5 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs against the Cardinals. Cardinals are an extremely frustrating squad. Everyone knows how I feel about them. Tigers, 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run. I respect Zach Greinke, and I will say the Miami Marlins are, in a little bit of a hot streak right now. Third, 134 weighted runs created plus against righties last 2 weeks. So I definitely lean that way. I like Jesus Luzardo, and the Royals aren't very good against lefties. About average full season, 99 weighted runs created plus. Last 2 weeks, 85. So pass game here for me, but I would lean Marlins. But minus 165 is obviously just no go for me.
Yeah, it's probably an under, at least in the first 5, if not the full game. I mean, the bullpen for Kansas City ain't good, and I'm not always on the greatest for Miami either, but especially for Kansas City. And the one thing about Greinke is he's actually pitched great in the month of May. How about a 2.30 ERA for Zach Greinke in the month of May? Very, very solid. And he's in good form right now. There's no question about that. Here, the problem, though, is he just doesn't eat enough innings. And when you have a bullpen that's just atrocious like Kansas City's, you need to be able to eat up innings, and you got to be able to pitch deep into that game and spare a bad bullpen from coming in and blowing it late. And we've seen that over and over again from Kansas City. So that's the only issue with Greinke. Yeah, he's pitched well, but he's still not going overly deep into these games. Luzardo, he's had some good starts. It's been up and down a little bit, but I still think there's more good than bad. I think he's got good stuff. I think Kansas City's going to struggle. You mentioned the struggles they've had against lefties, which have been very, very evident all season long. So I think it's a good matchup for Luzardo against this Kansas City team. So again, for me, it would be Miami, maybe the -1 full game run line if you're going to bet that. Maybe something small on that. I like Luzardo's strikeout prop, though, in this game. I definitely think he can get some misses from Kansas City and their struggles against lefties. So I like that prop there with Luzardo, over 6.5 strikeouts, -135.
Shout out to Andy Harris, new name in the chat. I'm going to have the Bill Nye song stuck in my head all fucking day now. Thank you, Andy Harris. And shout out to my guy, Akbar Salev, as well. Bill. Shout out to Bill Nye, my man. Whenever he goes, it's going to be a fucking sad day. Diamondbacks.
Nye, the science guy. We all know that tune. Come on.
Oh, really? You guys, I didn't know that the elders would know about my man, Bill Nye. Shout out to Bill Nye, man.
Yep.
Let's go Nationals Diamondbacks here. Another interesting market. I love having the ability to look at the market now, just so you can make sense of all these moves. 74% of the bets on the Arizona Diamondbacks, but 70% of the money on the Washington Nationals. That makes sense, and it explains why the Diamondbacks go from -170 to around -130 right now. I don't trust Jake Irvin. So if I'm betting this game, it's a Nationals team total. And, admittedly, Bobano, I had my tweet scheduled, or I had my tweet up and tweeted out my action. I forgot to include Washington Nationals team total over 4 at -120. And I looked right before the show because I realized, and it's over 4 at -130 now. I'm just like, I can't make that official. So I've bet it if anyone's interested in that, but I'm not going to tweet it out. Over 4 there at -120. It's interesting. The last 3 days, I think I've had a shitty team total on my card. And yesterday I cashed with the Royals. Thank God I didn't bet them first 5 because they just obliterated that for their bettors. But I like the Nationals here to get some runs off Tommy Henry. And we've said it plenty of times before. The Nationals against lefties and the A's against lefties. They do a lot better than, you would think. So there's value on those teams, I think, when they're facing lefties. And, you have to pick and choose with the A's, obviously. But Nationals think you can bet on against lefties very easily. So I lean Nationals here, but I passed.
Yeah, I like the over, but it's gone from 9.5 to 10, so be careful. But I still like it at 10. It's going to be a pleasant night. I mean, it's warming up again, Northeast U.S., Midwest U.S. We're getting some warmer temperatures as the summer air is coming back. And you're right, Washington, that's where you want him. We want him against lefties. Tommy Henry's a mediocre lefty, in my opinion. Actually, he doesn't have terrible numbers, 3.73 ERA, but certainly a good matchup for the Nationals. They do hit lefties better than righties. And I'm not a big fan of Jake Irvin, 5.67 ERA. And this Arizona lineup's a little underrated to me. They've been better than a lot of people think. When you look at some of the Corbin Carroll's been great. We know Christian Walker's got power in his bat. Ketel Marte's had a nice season for this Arizona Diamondbacks team. They've had some really good performances from their lineup. Underrated, I guess. Expecting more from them, or not expecting as much, and they have definitely pitched better than that. And not to mention Lourdes Gurriel Jr. has hit well for them as well, former Blue Jay. So, Arizona's got an offense that I think taken some people by surprise. It's been better than a lot of people thought. So I think both teams can crack some runs here. So I like over the total.
Bobano, out of curiosity, let's ask you this. Do you believe right now on June 6th that these Arizona Diamondbacks are going to make the playoffs?
Man, I got to see more. I'd still lean no at this point. And it's not that I don't believe in them, but I just think, we're not even halfway through. We're barely, a quarter of the way through the season right now. I mean, we need to see a little bit more, but no, I like the energy they've got. They've made some and all the moves they made in the off season for the most part are coming through for them. The pitching has held up so far. I like Zach Gallen. I like Merrill Kelly. Those are bet on pitchers. I do worry about the depth in this rotation still, including a guy like this, Tommy Henry. But they've played well, but they are, the thing is they play with the Dodgers. San Francisco is a feisty team. And is San Diego going to be this bad all year? They're not going to go on a run at some point, the Padres, and put themselves back into the mix, because top to bottom, you got to still favor San Diego's talent on paper over Arizona's. But they don't play on paper. You've just got guys that are just a little bit better in terms of well-rounded baseball right now for Arizona. And you've got guys that are getting paid a shit ton on San Diego that aren't living up to it right now. Looking at you, Juan Soto, among others. So, it's just, that's the issue. I think San Diego, if they get going, Arizona's in trouble, but maybe Arizona's not going to fall apart. Maybe San Diego's not going to get going. And that's what could let Arizona still be a playoff team.
So just for those keeping track at home, I'm looking at the wild card standings. Obviously, the Diamondbacks are tied with the Dodgers for the best record, or at least there's a lot of teams tied at 35-24, actually, around there, 35-25. But they are up there in the division leaders. But the three teams that would make the NL wild card if the season ended today, Bilbano, the Diamondbacks, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Miami Marlins. That's crazy. Imagine.
I'm going to need to be convinced Pittsburgh's making the playoffs. That I'll say right now, because
of course,
for them to have the record they had, and they basically shit it all away already to the point where, as of a couple of days ago, they weren't in the playoff spot. Pittsburgh Pirates. They went from that record they had, 20-8 or whatever it was at the beginning of the season, to, they weren't even in a playoff spot too. So yeah, I need some convincing to think Pittsburgh's actually going to get in.
Yeah, and they're on a 5-game winning streak right now, obviously, so that helps a lot. But just outside, the Mets, who we all know, knocking at the door. The Phillies, the Padres, the Giants are there. So it's going to be
that Reds team could sneak in if they have a good second. I'm not convinced there, but one thing about that Cincy team, they're exciting. They got some young up and comers on that squad. That Abbott kid is going to be, I think, pretty good for them. I like what I saw. He reined in his, nerves early, and then once he did, he pitched well last night. So that Reds team is feisty too. They got guys that are, they've got some spunk to them. Every single day they compete, they get on that baseball field and they put it out there. And I think the Cincinnati team is going to hang in the race. I don't know about get in, but they're going to be in the race.
I'm excited to talk about their game. A game I'm not excited to talk about, this Pirates and Oakland game. What an easy stay off this game was for me. A ton of the money, all of the money was on the Pirates earlier this morning. The line moves their way. I hate the Oakland A's, and I'll only bet them when Paul Blackburn is on the bump. Bobano, I know you had Paul Blackburn first five with me last time, and I know you got crushed just like I did with Garrett Cooper. That son of a bitch, man. I got so excited. The A's were up 5-1. I was like, oh my God, this is happening. No. And of course that happens.
And then do my little Beatles song. Yeah, Blackburn shitting in the dead of night.
Thank you.
That's what he was doing.
But that's the only time I'll bet these A's. No thanks to any other time. Pass game for me here. But shout out to our girl, Helen Mitch-Keller, who has turned out to be a quality arm this year. What do you have on this game, Bobano?
Yeah, this game, it's an easy decision for me. You don't bet Oakland. You don't bet Pittsburgh. You don't bet over. You don't bet under. You bet Mitch Keller over strikeouts. That's what you do. That's the bet here. Over 6.5 strikeouts. Mitch Keller at a nice price, -140. Look at the last several games for Mitch Keller. Going back to April 27. You know how many strikeouts he's had? 8, 8, 8, 13, 8, 8, 10. That's going all the way back to April 27. That's 7 straight starts for Mitch Keller, 8 or more strikeouts. And it's only over 6.5 tonight here in this game against an Oakland team that we know habitually strikes out. They strike out in their sleep, this Oakland Athletics team. They are one of the worst teams in baseball in terms of strikeouts, in terms of the number of strikeouts they have per game. It's a perfect spot for a strikeout prop on Mitch Keller. And again, 8+ going back to April 27 in each game. So yeah, that's an easy bet for me. That's the best bet in this game. Don't worry about anything else. Don't worry about sides. Don't worry about totals. Bet your Mitch Keller K prop.
Shout out to Rocco, who's right there with you. Laddered at 7, -118, 8+, +140, and 9+, +260. So shout out to him. Shout out to Roger that for joining us, as well as Real Deal Prime in here as well. Good group. Let's keep it rolling here. White Sox, Yankees, next game on our slate. And I got this early. I got this during betting with the bag. The number is dropped down to an 8, but I'm on the under 8.5, -110 here. Giolito and Schmidt, again, not my favorite pitchers to back. I said this morning, Jimmy loves Clark Schmidt. I do not. I guess I actively cannot stand him. I don't know. But I just don't think he's a very good pitcher. But this is just another market play for me. 81% of the bets, only 53% of the money on the over. 19% of the bets and 47% of the money on the under. That was just alarm bells to me here. Someone's ringing the doorbell of bet the under. And, maybe that is just because Aaron Judge, who, again, I'll say this again, I think he has a broken toe. I would expect him to be on the IL, or if he's going to play through it and just grit out 2 toes stuck together. I don't know how that's going to work out, but I think he has a broken toe. He's not in today. And the Yankees offense and the Yankees team without Aaron Judge is just a whole different animal, as well as the White Sox just being horrific against righties last 2 weeks and full season. So easy under game for me.
Yeah, this one's a tricky one. I initially leaned Chicago because it's a tough spot for Yankees. They're coming back from the Dodgers series out in L.A. That was a big-time series over the weekend. Sunday night, have to travel West Coast to East Coast, but they get the day off yesterday. That's their saving grace, that they didn't have to play yesterday. And I think that alleviates what might have been more of a bet against spot for the Yankees if they didn't have the day off. Not to mention Giolito's got issues keeping the ball in the park. And if you've got issues like that and you're pitching in Yankee Stadium, that's a problem. And so I worry about that for Lucas Giolito here a little bit. So basically, I leaned White Sox, but I talked myself out of it, so it's a pass.
I leaned White Sox too, and I'll say this, money line wise, 70% of the bets and 61% of the money on the Yankees. But this line has just plummeted. -180 opening it up now, like you said, -134, -130-ish.
I'm not a fan of Clark Schmidt either. He's got a 5 ERA. There's not really anything to like about that, quite honestly, for me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Like I said, Jimmy talks up the ability for the Yankees to develop pitching. I just disagree there. I think they're not that great, but it's going to be very interesting to see how all this operates, especially with no Judge. I'm on the under there, so let's keep riding and rolling. Houston, Toronto, big series here, big game for the Blue Jays here. They have to have a response. And I bet Astros money line plus 118. A lot of money and tickets are on the Blue Jay side. 65% of the bets, 86% of the money. I regret my bet a little bit, I'll be honest. Line has moved towards the Blue Jays, plus 120, minus 140 now. For Kevin Gausman, opened up at minus 120. And he's really good. But I just ultimately feel like I'm just taking the better team here at a plus money price. And again, the Manoa DFA news, I'll admit, I think there might be something to galvanize the team a little bit. Maybe something, a wake-up call or some kind of just like shake of the snow globe, because that's Bobana, this. That's a locker room leader. He was one of the guys supposed to take you into the next, era of the Blue Jays. And now he's in the fucking Florida Complex League with a bunch of rookies. And that's definitely got to be a wake-up call to the young players in there. And maybe, I don't know, Alec Manoa is kind of a dick. Maybe he's a locker room guy. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm on the Astros money line here. I'll be interested to see how the Blue Jays respond after getting shit kicked and made fun of all day yesterday, and then that news today.
Yeah, this is interesting because this definitely feels like an under after a high-scoring affair where the Astros got that huge lead early last night, and now you got two very good pitchers on the mound, Hunter Brown and Kevin Gausman. Definitely feels like an under spot, but again, it's 8, and I'm even starting to see 7.5s pop up in this stadium, which is tough to bet an under that low when you're talking Rogers Center. But I do think both pitchers can go out there, pitch well. The one thing that does concern me, though, for Hunter Brown is he does give up some hard contact sometimes. He gets swings and misses, but he sometimes does give up the extra base hit, the home run, and that's still something he's trying to work through, and you could give that up easily to this Blue Jays lineup in this ballpark especially. I think from a spot perspective, I actually kind of like Toronto a little bit here. I did have placed a small bet on the Blue Jays here around minus 140. I mean, this is the guy they want on the mound after getting embarrassed last night and Alec Manoa having that atrocious performance. Gausman's been phenomenal. He's been lighting it up. He's got the best damn splitter in baseball. It's not even a debate. It's just a wipeout pitch that nobody can get to right now. And he's just been on a great run. He had a great start in his last outing. So I have a small bet on the Blue Jays, lean to the under, and I like both of these pitchers as far as strikeout props tonight. I like both of them. I think both can go over their strikeout prop in this game. So this is one there I actually did go ahead with both of these guys. Hunter Brown over 4.5 strikeouts, minus 140. And Kevin Gausman for the Blue Jays over 6.5 strikeouts, minus 145. I definitely think you're going to get a lot of fanning on both sides here tonight.
It's going to be a good game. Like I said, I don't feel the best about my Astros bet anymore, but we'll see. It's going to be a fun game to watch nonetheless. Shout out to DX Filer for joining us as well. Hope your birthday the other day was as well. Steen, let us know what you did. Probably just sat in a poker room for 12 hours, but I'd love to hear about it. And shout out to T joining us, real deal. Getting your wish about Manoa getting sent down. Hilarious. Again, I just can't believe you can't send him down to AAA. You can't send him down to AA. You send him all the way down to the Florida Complex League where the rookies are going and shit. I don't remember when the draft is off the top of my head, but they're going to be dudes potentially drafted this year and just walk in and just see Alec Manoa trying to figure his shit out. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. Boston, Cleveland, next game on our slate, and a double up for me. Gigantic line movement here again. Minus 110 each way, and this opened up minus 120 for the Cleveland Guardians. 64% of bet and 90% of the money on the Boston Red Sox here. I'm on the Boston Red Sox as well. Took the money line minus 105. Also on the under 7.5 at even money here. The under money is interesting to say the least. 53% of the tickets on the over, 72% of cash on it. However, it opened at an 8 and it drops down to a 7.5. And that is the old classic gamblers reverse line movement there. The market just spit in the face of all that money and says, here, you want to bet the over? We'll give you a better line to bet the over. Bet it over 7.5. And, it feels like this game's going under. I think Paxton pitches well against the shit Guardians offense, and the Red Sox offense has not been good. But I think Bieber can give up a couple runs here. So I took the under in the Red Sox here, Bobano. And these games mean more to me, as many people know. So shout out to that. Let's hear what your take is on this one.
Not really much to say other than I don't trust either lineup and I don't trust either pitcher. So when I see a game like this, I don't do anything with it but pass.
Agreed. By the way, I forgot JT Eel. Alec Manoa, again, I guess I'm just in shock at this DFA. The star of the All-Star game last year. Forgot about that. Mic'd them up, the whole thing, and now with the rookies.
Yep.
Life comes at you fucking fast.
That's life in the big leagues. I mean, I've seen these kind of rise and falls from one year to the next. I have. I mean, it can happen.
James Kripalian is a good example of that. James Kripalian, did he win Rookie of the Year? I don't remember if he won Rookie of the Year, but I remember him being damn close, like top 3 1 year, and he's just horrible now. So shout out to him. Speaking of Rookie of the Years, let's talk about the Reds and Elly De La Cruz making his debut. Fourth youngest player all time to make his debut and hit fourth. I mean, I'm excited to watch him. It's so weird, Bobano. I guess Aaron Judge just started a trend of just gigantic humans playing baseball. I don't understand. We did not have these players back in the day. Dustin Pedroia, one of my favorite baseball players of all time. Me and him will be looking at each other eye to eye. Elly De La Cruz, every inch of 6'5", apparently. So I'm excited to watch him work. Does it mean I'm betting on the Reds today? No, because I respect Tony Gonsolin a lot. He takes a lot of my money. I fade him often, and I lose every time, it seems. But I say this, I'd be on the over. Shout out to Eric Jones, giving the over 10. I'd be on the over this game. Market-wise, the over 61% of the bets, but 94% of the cash on the over. Went from 10 to 10.5. Elly De La Cruz going to make an impact. And I think that the Reds can get some runs off of Tony Gonsolin here. And we all kind of figured that Luke Weaver is going to get touched up here. So gun to head, if I had to pick, I'm picking the Reds. But I felt fucking fortunate getting out with the Reds last time, or last night with Reds first 5. I was sweating my ass off that whole time. And Abbott looked great. And I can't wait to back Abbott more, but the Reds are sweaty team to bet on. So I like watching them. I would bet maybe Elly De La Cruz bases if you're interested in that kind of stuff, but I'll be interested.
Yeah, I will be too. I actually took a home run prop for Elly De La Cruz tonight. I said, why not? And especially when you look, and I like the over here, and it's not that I don't think Gonsolin's capable, but I do think this is definitely over weather, over conditions. 80 degrees at Great American, winds blowing out. And that's
the
why
most electric atmosphere. The most electric atmosphere they're going to have in a Great American Ball. I don't even know. Who knows when the last time that stadium is going to be as excited for anything? Because I don't know if you saw this, Bobano, when they called them up or they made the announcement, the ticket website for the Reds immediately crashed. Crashed. So this is going to be the most raucous Reds atmosphere since they made the fucking playoffs with Trevor Bauer and Luis Castillo.
No, it will be. I mean, and look, they're also playing somewhat decent baseball. Cincinnati, closing in on 500 still, in the fringe of the NL playoff race. So there's, and of course, this top prospect, and that's what he is number one prospect, position player wise at the very least, that's making his debut tonight, shortstop, and it'll be fun to watch at both ends, the defensive end and of course at the plate. I like over. Like I say, we're going to have winds blowing out, 80 degrees, warm night. I'm still not sold on Luke Weaver. Has pitched a little bit better his last couple starts, but man, he had 2 home runs allowed last start. The home run ball has been an issue, and you have a night like this in this ballpark, wind blowing out, and it's warm, and you're giving up home runs. That's a problem. All right, and Luke Weaver could have that issue tonight for Cincinnati. Gonsolin's been really good, but Gonsolin, a little bit of a fly ball pitcher at times. On a night like this, he could even get, some damage done against him. 1.77 ERA has been great. Maybe, maybe he's just pitching too well for Cincy, but I think Cincinnati on a night like this can do a little bit of damage, and that'll open the door for runs early and late because I think both teams have the potential to get into the bullpen. So over the total for me. And like I said, Ellie De La Cruz, I wouldn't talk anyone out of props. I like the home run prop in particular.
It's going to be a fun game. I'll actually be watching this game, so it'll be a lot of fun. Mets Braves next on our slate. And this one was another market game, just screaming towards the over. I talked about it on Betting with the Bag. It was at 9.5 when I was mentioning it. And it was the last thing I actually talked to Jimmy about before the show ends. I asked him this question. It's 50-50 on the tickets, and 90% of the money was on the over. Now it's 52% of tickets, 83% of the money on the over, and it's jumped up a full run, not even a half run, a full run from 9.5 to 10.5. So I'm expecting runs here, and it's two pitchers that are very polarizing, tough to bet on sometimes. I backed Cookie twice and cashed in his last two appearances, but that was just because of the market kind of telling us that the Cookie was going to have a good start. And Bryce Elder and like Rocco saying, Bryce Elder and Tony G are kind of just the guys that advanced analytics hate. Like if you go to Bryce Elder's Baseball Savant, everything is blue. But if you look a little deeper, his ground ball rates like the second best in baseball or something like that, et cetera, et cetera. I pass this game. I lean over, but it's a 10.5. It's dice now. Obviously, I would have rather had the 9.5. But I'll be interested in watching this game just because this is a division matchup, NL East, like gigantic thing for both of these fan bases. Both these fan bases don't like each other, which I also enjoy. So I'll be watching, but I passed.
Yeah, for me, I did a Braves first 5 full game split, run line split. Braves -0.5 first 5, Braves -1 full game. Definitely liking Elder over Carrasco. Carrasco's not been great. This Mets team is they suck right now. What is it? Swept by the Blue Jays over the weekend. Terrible stuff from them. It's just a much better Atlanta team right now. Much better pitcher. I mean, I don't think Elder's this good, quite honestly, and I like the over as well, as I think he's going to get hit around at some point. But, man, 1.92 ERA, you can't really criticize anything he's doing. He's pitching well for the Braves. Like I say, regression I think is coming for Bryce Elder, but maybe tonight. So I do like the over. I think Atlanta will get a bunch of runs. Hopefully the Mets can chip in some as well. I like this over, and I'm going to side with the better team, better pitcher. Braves first 5 full game run line split.
I don't blame you. Bobano, by the way, CFL happening soon. Are you doing any CFL action? I'm that Heat asking.
Of course. Yeah, no doubt. I'll be betting the handicapping CFL again this season. Looking forward to it. We'll be talking it on the show with Jimmy whenever I'm on. I'll be doing it on my own channel this year. I'll be doing Ian Cameron's Football Frenzy. So make sure you check that out. It'll be pre-recorded this year, not live. It'll be me. It'll be Steel City Steve from Pittsburgh, who's a big CFL bettor and knows what he's talking about. And we'll have some CFL former players on the show as guests throughout the season. So looking forward to that starting this week.
Shout out to the CFL. I was, I looked at the CFL Grey Cup odds, Bobano. It's not something that I say often. Because someone, I forgot who it was in the chat, dropped over 9.5 win total for the BC Lions.
Yep.
I looked, my book didn't have the win totals. They just had the Grey Cup odds. And I was like, plus 500, not bad. And then I looked at Winnipeg, the blue plus 185. I was like, good God. It's like, that is crazy. So a shout out to the Blue Bombers, who I've, in 2 years of listening to you guys cap the CFL, are a juggernaut. I know that for sure. So shout out to them. Let's move on. And is my guy Taylor Cornelius still the quarterback of the Elks?
He is with the Edmonton Elks, and they're looking for their first home win in 4 years this year.
That's great. Shout out to the Elks, man. I hope
They actually should be better this year. It's just a question of how many wins do they have.
That's fucking funny. First home win in 4 years. That's good. I hope my guy Taylor Cornelius doesn't have a clutch bone in his body. So let's see if that.
As long as he doesn't play quarterback like UConn Cornelius, hopefully.
Or like Mason, my other guy, Mason Rudolph. Shout out to Mason, who
that's right.
got a job with the Steelers. Shout out to him. Baltimore, Milwaukee Brewers. Next game on our slate. Another big market move to the Orioles here, and I feel like a jackass not betting the Orioles earlier. I didn't bet them here yet. Probably not going to because I've missed the movement a little bit, but. I was shocked to see minus 135 with the Milwaukee Brewers. Again, I I don't know if I'm a Brewers hater or what, but I really think that the Brewers are going to fall off, not win this division. Um, the thing is, I said the Cardinals are going to win this division, and I think they have the worst record in the National League right now. They're just horrible. I don't know what they're going to do. They just get swept by the Pirates, very frustratingly enough. So maybe the Pirates win this division. I don't know. I've just doubted the Brewers all year. Their lineup is different every single day. They just piecing this shit together, and I don't believe in it. I will take AL East teams against most any other division. And this is just one of those spots where I was pretty surprised. On the Action Network, this says that it's minus 115 at the open for the Blue Jay or for the Orioles. I don't believe that because I think we saw minus 135 earlier today for the Brewers, plus 113 for the Orioles. I would be on the Orioles here. I passed this game, unfortunately, because I guess I have a little bit of fear of Freddie Peralta. I have a little bit of that bias of seeing Freddie Peralta be really good. But last 2 weeks against righties, 76 weighted runs created plus for the Brewers. 22nd are the Orioles last 2 weeks, 85 weighted runs created plus too. So perhaps a first 5 under, perhaps lean under here. And the tickets for the total here real quick, 71% of bets on the over, but 63% of money on the under. So that definitely makes me lean towards the under there. And I truthfully want to bet the under after reading that, but I'm passing so far. Bobano, what about you?
Yeah, this is just one of those classic money line prices in MLB where it's basically they're pricing it because Freddie Peralta is supposedly the better pitcher than Kyle Gibson. And I think, talent-wise, you could say yes, but that's the only reason that Milwaukee is this price. And to me, they still shouldn't be. Okay, Baltimore's the better of these two teams, and I'm on Baltimore here, first 5 full game split. And for all this talk about Peralta's been mediocre. Okay, he got bombed 2 starts ago. He did settle down after the first inning against Toronto in his last start, but he gave up 3 runs, put his team in a hole early, and that can't happen. And everybody's going to yawn when it comes to Kyle Gibson. Nope, he's not going to move the market. He's Kyle Gibson. He's been an decent pitcher, but not a great pitcher in his whole career. And he's not going to get a lot of betting market support or attention. But right now he's pitching well. And he's given the Orioles a chance to win every single time he's been on the mound. The Orioles have won 3 straight games with him starting. He's going for his 4th consecutive win here tonight. There's travel from the West Coast where they played San Francisco over the weekend here to Milwaukee, but they had the day off yesterday. That's significant. Whenever you look at these travel spots, you got to know, do they have the day off before or not? If they have a day off before, that's a huge bonus to the team traveling. So I'm not worried about the spot. I don't think Milwaukee, is the better of these two teams. Wrong team favored situation to me. I like the Orioles here, first 5 full game split.
Agreed. I like it. I'm going to move officially on the under 8.5 minus 125. Minus 123. I need to double check that because that was Bovada's line. Yeah, minus 123 on Bet Online. So I will be betting that as well. And if you're asking why am I betting that, again, I'll read this out. This is one of the big benefits of having this new account that I have, thankfully. 29% of bets and 63% of money on the under. So that is just a big red flashing light there for me. Let's go Cardinals, Rangers. Interesting game, interesting series here. I would really appreciate the Cardinals showing some kind of life in this. They played well yesterday. They lost in extras, whatever. But I honestly lean Cardinals here, Bobano. I don't know. I can't make the bet because they've just been so atrocious as of late. 19% of bets, only 16% of money on the Cardinals here, 81 and 84% of money on the Rangers. A lot of people love the Rangers right now. They're the talk of the town. 69% of bets and 77% of money on the over here. I'd honestly lean under again here. But it's just tough to back Matthew Liberatore. And while Dane Dunning has just been great on home this year. So I passed this game. I only just slightly leans towards the Cardinals. And maybe I lean towards the Cardinals because I'm an asshole that wants them to win their division because I've been saying they are going to. So I pass, and I just respect the respect the Rangers enough. And I'll pose this question to you real quick before I pass it off to you, Bobano. The very same question with the Arizona Diamondbacks here with the Texas Rangers. The Texas Rangers are leading their division, 38-20. The Astros are behind them, 35-24. Will these Texas Rangers make the playoffs, Bobano?
Yes. I don't even hesitate. Yes. Okay. It's just the offense is too good with what Simeon and Seager and Jonah Heim and Jung, what even some of these other guys are doing. It's just sensational, to watch how they're hitting the baseball, this team top to bottom. The pitching is good enough. I think in my the way from what I've seen so far, even with DeGrom obviously going with out for the season with Tommy John, and the manager's been around the block, knows a thing or two about winning, knows a thing or two about championships, and that pedigree of what it takes to win. And Bruce Bochy, who again, I said this in the off season, and people weren't listening. He's not coming out of retirement if he thinks he's walking into a tough, brutal situation.
Agreed.
He's coming out of retirement because he thinks this team's got something there and he can get it out of them. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now from the Texas Rangers. They've been a moneymaker for me now for weeks, and I'm on them again tonight because I like Dane Dunning. He's good enough. And I don't like Laboratory very much. I mean, he's up and down to me, in my opinion. And this team is just, they're hitting everybody and everything right now. And I don't think anything Laboratory will throw at them, they'll scare the Texas Rangers too much. So for me, it's a first 5 full game on Texas.
All right. I'm glad that you're on Texas because a lot of Rangers backers will be happy to hear that. Shout out to Beefy Bet, by the way. Took an 11-unit future on the Diamondbacks to make the playoffs at plus 600. And the books are already offering him a 3 times cash out. So shout out to you, Beefy Bets. And he's saying the Diamondbacks are the play. And by the way, the line now for the Diamondbacks to make the playoffs, plus 220. Shout out to you there, Beefy Bets. That's a good bet there. Shit game, Bobano. I'll keep this one brief. Rockies Giants, nothing to do with this one. The Nelson Lamet, I backed you that first time out. Never again. No, thank you. I'm good. Pass. We all know that Breeby is an opener to bring out Sean Manaea, a lefty. The Rockies, are the worst team against lefties, and it's not particularly close. Yep. 30th full season, 65 weighted runs created plus. 30th last 2 weeks, 46 weighted runs created plus. Literally anyone that throws from the left side, I would favor over the Rockies. So this is a giant spot for me. I pass this game fairly easily, though. I do lean under, oddly enough, because it went from 11.5 to 11. And let me double check the money numbers right now, because I know I saw something kind of funny with them. Not really. 61% of bets, 61% of money on the under. Apparently, this opened at a 12.5 and it's just drop. But yeah, I passed.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I like the over a little bit here. But I like Lamet is just, I don't trust him. I don't think he's that great anymore, or if he ever was, he isn't anymore. San Francisco could probably do a little bit of damage. It's Brebbia for San Francisco, and then you're going to see Manaea. And I know they can't hit lefties, Colorado, but this is not a good lefty. He's almost got a 6 ERA, Manaea. He struggled this year. There's a reason why he's not in the rotation anymore for the Giants, because he's had issues, and now they're using him out of the bullpen. So, yeah, it's a bad hitting team against lefties, but it's a bad lefty. Who's going to win that matchup? I'll take a chance that Colorado wins that matchup. I do think San Francisco will score runs, and the weather, more importantly, screams to the over because it's blowing out tonight at Coors Field. So I actually disagree with where this total move is.
Beautiful. So there's an overlook for Bobano. I made this easy pass. I'm glad I'm off of it. And by the way, Beefy Bets gave us a stale line. Is actually the Cardinals, the Pirates. I don't know why I keep saying the wrong team. The Diamondbacks are actually minus 125 to make the playoffs. So shout out to you there, Beefy. That's awesome. Shout out to you. Cubs, Angels next on our slate. Another bet for me here, Bobano. And so far, I've gone 3-1, fading the spots with 99% of the bets on one side. Again, I've mentioned it a couple of times now, but most notably, the Rangers game yesterday, everyone was on the over. I took the under, cash very easily. Shout out to Drip for that compliment about it. Same here, 86% of bets and 97% of money on the over. Now, admittedly, it is a little bit of a concerning spot. I wish the line was not moving. Let me refresh real quick because this line, like I said, I bet it at under 9.5 at even money. Right now, you can bet it. Okay, I'm Bovada's 9.5 at plus 105. And bet online real quick. I wanted to double check. I'm looking at tomorrow's odds. It is under 10 at minus 115. So it's a little worrisome. They've moved it a little, but I'm going to keep fading these spots. As we say, Bobano, they're not handing out money for free. So I'll fade all the public spots there, but I'm on the the under 9.5. Bobano, what do you think?
Yeah, this one, a little lean to the over, but nothing strong. Wisniewski's kind of, I thought he would be really, really strong this year. He hasn't been living up to those expectations as much as I had hoped for him. The Angels have been kind of up and down offensively themselves. I'm still not a big Tyler Anderson fan, but here's the thing. I mean, the Cubs have really had their problems against lefties at times. They really have. And so it's kind of like the last game we talked about. You got a lefty who's not my favorite, not the greatest, but Cubs really have struggled against lefties. Who's going to win that matchup? I'm not so sure. It's a pass.
Agreed. Pass game for me. Just a quick note on the sidewise, money-wise, real quick before we get out of here. 40% of the bets and 84% of the money on the Cubs, 60% of tickets and 16% of the money on the Angels. So I definitely lean Cubs there for sure, and the line has moved in their direction as well. So shout out to the Cubs. Let's move on. Last game on the slate. And I didn't cap this game as fully with the market. And now that it's a little bit later on in the day, we can see a little more. 63% of bets and 74% of the tickets on the Seattle Mariners here. And yet, it has moved towards the Padres, it seems. That's a very interesting note there on the total. Very interesting here. And I know this will concern my father, Jimmy the Bag. Seattle Padres here, 52% of the tickets on the over, but 97% on the under. A 50-50 ticket split with a disparity that large simply indicates someone knows something. Someone has made a large bet on the over in this game. And I think I'm going to move on the over in this game, Bobano. What do you think?
This is another one. I mean, both of these pitchers are up and down, but at the same time, that's disappointing to say about Gilbert because I like the kid, but he got bombed in his last start. And but he's also had some good starts, and San Diego can't hit a lick consistently. Once in a while they do, but they can't hit a lick consistently. And I can say the same damn thing about the Seattle Mariners. So, what's going to give here? I'm off the total. I actually took Seattle in this spot, first 5 full game split. I think Gilbert still, I like the upside. San Diego's a lineup he's capable of navigating with their inconsistencies. I'm going to go with Seattle here, first 5 full game split at a small plus price. I actually like the strikeout props for both of these pitchers tonight. I think both of them can settle in to take care and neutralize lineups that just don't show any sort of consistency and some lineups that have shown some strikeout capability lately, that they've been swinging and missing. They've been striking out a little bit more lately, both of these lineups. So I like Gilbert over strikeouts and Musgrove over strikeouts as well.
I'm going to be on the over. This is going to be a little bit of a scary one. I like, I faded Joe Musgrove at times, but that was when he was just fresh off coming off the IL. He's been quality as of late, and I'll tell you, last 2 starts for Musgrove, 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, not earned, and a 6 1/3, 6 hits, 1 earned run appearance at the Yankees here coming back home. Gilbert coming off of a shit start against the Yankees, 7 runs, 5 of them earned in 4 innings. And then an A's start we can just kind of mark off because that's the Oakland A's, and everyone pitches well against the A's. So I'm on the over. I'm concerned. Both of these teams are fighting it out currently. They are actually respectively the most disappointing teams in each of their, I was going to call them conferences, but leagues, American and National. I think both of these teams can claim those titles, but I'm hoping for runs here. So it'll be a lot of fun. Bobano, let's recap our action. As always, it's great talking baseball with you. I appreciate it. I can't wait to see what you have for the CFL, as always. and all the people in the chat. We appreciate you guys as well. Hit the like button while you're here. The 133 people watching live now. We appreciate you guys. I'm going to recap our full slates here. And with Bobano and I on Tuesdays, they are usually girthy. So again, put your seatbelts on, strap in, because we are going to get these recaps off right now. I'll start, Bobano. I'm on the Boston double up here, money line -105, under 7.5 at even money, under 8.5 -110 in the White Sox Yankees game. I am on the under 9.5 at even money in Chicago, LA, over 9 Detroit, Philadelphia -113, under 8.5 -123 in Baltimore, Milwaukee, and the over 7.5 -115 there in Seattle, San Diego Padres. Realizing, I also have the Astros money line as well. I forgot about that as well. Astros money line +118. A lot of totals, only 2 money line bets. Rest of them are totals for me. So it'll be a whole lot of fun to see how this all operates. Bobano, I'm ready. Hit me.
Yeah, we'll go rapid fire because, as always, there's a lot of volume for me. Arizona, Washington over 9.5, -120. LA Dodgers, Cincinnati over 10, -125. We'll sprinkle on Ellie De La Cruz in his debut to hit a home run as well. New York Mets, Atlanta over 9.5. I got actually 9.5, -125. 10 now, 10.5. I still endorse it. San Francisco, Colorado over 11, -108. Toronto -138. Miami -1, -114. Actually, I crossed that one off. Detroit, Philadelphia over 9, -110. Baltimore +115 first 5. Baltimore +114 full game split. Texas -140 first 5. Texas -135 full game split. Seattle +120 first 5 full game split. And strikeout props, Louis Varland for the Twins over 4.5 strikeouts, -145. Zach Eflin for the Rays over 5.5 strikeouts, -120. Hunter Brown over 4.5 strikeouts for the Astros, -130. Kevin Gossman for Toronto over 6.5 strikeouts, -140. Jesus Luzardo for Miami over 6.5 strikeouts, -140. Mitch Keller, Pittsburgh Pirates over 6.5 strikeouts, -140. Logan Gilbert, Seattle over 5.5 strikeouts, -110. And Joe Musgrove, San Diego over 6.5 strikeouts, +120.
Beautiful work there, my guy Bobano. Very exciting stuff here today. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for this day of baseball. Thanks everyone again for watching. Shout out to my guy Don Play and Nunya, Rocco, Rogers. Don, I'm glad you can take a joke. We're just busting balls, obviously. So I love you, my man. Beefy Bets, Gerald Jones, JJ, desperately looking for Billy Brisbane. He's coming, my man, JJ. Don't you worry about that. Jay Peasy, Brian Watson, Junkies Delight. Shout out to you, my man. New name in the chat. Beefy Bets. Shout out to you for that. Diamondbacks bets. Daryl Turner, Drip Skylark, Troy Torrance. Good. All you guys. Joe Yurkovich was in here. Appreciate you guys. Real Deal Prime. I'm that heat. All you guys. We appreciate everyone in here as always. Bobano, when's the next time you're going to be gracing us with your presence?
Yeah, it's my Friday. My week on a Friday to be with betting with the bag. So I'll be back on that this Friday at 11 a.m. We'll break down just MLB that day because NHL's off on Friday. So just MLB that day and CFL too. Sorry, CFL is actually underway this week. So I'm sure we'll talk some CFL as well. And then back with you next Tuesday on this show.
Do you have a CFL team beside the Ticats that you're excited to bet on? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know about this week, but just in general, I want to look to back Ottawa. I really do think they're going to be better, especially when they get Jeremiah Masoli back, which unfortunately won't be for a couple of weeks. Although Nick Arbuckle was capable down the stretch, and he's going to be the starter for week 1 against Montreal. But Ottawa, I think, could really take a step forward. They look like a much better team late in the season last year after the coaching change. They made some changes. The personnel's been upgraded dramatically. Both sides of the football. They like their coach. Bob Dice did a great job in a tough spot last year. They showed some life after they made the coaching change. So Ottawa might be able to springboard forward this year.
Beautiful. Shout out to the Red Blacks. I know CFL names. It makes me proud. It makes me proud. Appreciate everyone again. We appreciate you guys for joining the show as always. Without you guys, this wouldn't be anything. Thanks everyone. Say hey to us on social media at Bobano, at Jose Bouquett. We'll see you guys next time.